right, Coach. Coming off a CT Ice Championship, we're back in conference action. Top 10 matchup this weekend, home and home with Providence. Just want to get your thoughts as we head down the home stretch of Hockey East play.
Yeah, well, we're excited to finally uh, get our first CT Ice Championship trophy, but we've moved on and trying to get ready for the Friars now. And they're always a tough opponent for us to play against. I think that they, have a balanced scoring attack. They're pretty good defensively. They've always had really good special teams and two excellent goaltenders. So they're a reason, they're a top 10 team for a reason. And we know we're going to have our work cut out for us this weekend.
Awesome. All right, we'll open up for questions. Joe, you want to start us off?
Yeah, thanks. Good morning, Cav. How are you?
I'm great, Joe. You?
I'm good, thank you. Obviously coming off such an emotional weekend in Fairfield, what was the mood in practice the last 2 days? Any sort of a letdown, momentum from the weekend? How would you characterize it?
This group's pretty good. I think, they obviously were excited after the weekend, but we've had like 3 weekends in a row, Joe. And this is going to be our fourth. New Hampshire was an emotional weekend. Going up to Maine was a really emotional weekend. And then obviously this past weekend, but they're pretty good at compartmentalizing and moving on to the next challenge in front of us.
Can you talk a little bit about Philip? I mean, obviously nice time for his first goal. It seems like he's even more in the he's feeling his oats a lot more.
Yeah, for most Europeans, they play over here for a year before they come to college, so they get somewhat used to the North American culture. He's one of the few that came straight from, he was playing in the Swedish junior league last year and the Slovenian kid. So it probably took him a little longer to get acclimated, Joe, to North American style hockey. And the rinks are a lot bigger over in Europe. So, but I really like the way he's progressing. He's an excellent kid, 4.0 student. He's been a great addition to our program.
And then last one for me for now. Your teams always seem to have a knack for blocking shots. Obviously, Spets and Messinio were really good at that, but you had Jake with 8 seconds to go to help save the game. Is that a mindset? Is that a learned skill? What makes the team a good shot blocking team?
I think you see any team that is going to be successful has to be able to block shots. It's just part of the game. It's boxing out in basketball. It's being able to bunt in baseball. It's a fundamental that you need to have in your game. And teams that are not going to block shots, I don't think they're going to be very successful.
Thanks.
Bridget, we can jump over to you.
Thank you, Colin. Hi, Coach.
Hi, Bridget.
Got a few questions. I'll just ask a few first.
Sure.
So I wanted to ask you about kind of where you guys are in your, I guess where Toscano is actually, because you guys this is your second season there, right? Or is it your second full season?
Well, it opened 2 Januaries ago.
Okay. So, and I had overheard a conversation this week about how like Hockey East has gotten a lot of big investments in facilities and programs recently. And I wanted to know, now that you're in your second season in Toscano, and you're able to show recruits it and everything, what has that been like for your program?
Well, I obviously it's been a great help for our program. We were, I think the 2 biggest things I've said about this arena are, one, it gives our players and our student athletes a facility where, a top-notch facility where they can recover, where they can come and work on their shot, where they can become the very best player that they can be. We have everything in here to help develop them as a hockey player. The second thing is it allows our student body to walk across campus and come watch us play. I think those are the two most important things when it comes to this facility.
And then I'll just do this one as well. For your goaltending situation, you've had to, you've had some challenges trying to figure out, I guess, how to go about utilizing everyone. Can you just talk a little bit about how you've been able to bring those, like, get through the adversity, bring those guys in? You have all new goalie group this year, so
yeah, well, it really hasn't been a challenge because we haven't had them healthy, really. I haven't had to make too many choices because I think we've only had 2 weeks this year. Actually, this being the third right now, because Callum's back, where we've had all three goalies healthy. So Tyler was playing the majority of the games, and Callum was injured early, and then Tyler got hurt. And then Callum jumped in, and when they were both hurt, Tommy Heaney played. So all three goalies have played, but I think Tyler and Callum have certainly played well enough this year to earn more starts in the net. Now, how we're going to go about that going forward, I don't know yet. It's still only Wednesday. We'll make that decision tomorrow night.
Adam, we'll jump over to you.
Yeah, I guess that is sort of the crux of my question with the goaltending play is it still Tyler goes into this week having done what he did last weekend and knows I've still got to earn it? Does he have to prove anything coming off of last weekend with that decision?
I think you got to prove something every day. I think the real good ones try to prove something every day. I don't think they're ever satisfied with what they did the previous week. So, and that's what I expect. That's an expectation here of the players. When Jake Richard shows up today, when John Spetz shows up, they got to prove it. They got to go out there and show me that they're getting better every day. Because if the minute that stops happening, you're not going to have a lot of success.
Where's the trophy?
In the lounge.
Okay. Are the guys still getting a kick out of it every time they walk by it?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them, but it's going to stay in the lounge all year long. I know that.
Good. And for Houston Cartman, obviously getting thrown into consistent playing time for the first time in his career. So what have you seen over the last few weeks with what he brings?
He brings a ton of energy for sure. I really like the way his game has progressed over the past 3 years. He plays a solid. But when he's out there, I thought early on in his career, I thought structurally he could get lost. I think he's done a great job of understanding positionally where he should be on the ice. And when he's not playing, he's also adds value because he just brings so much energy to our bench.
Thanks, Coach.
Andrew, go ahead.
Hey, Cav, congrats on the win this past weekend.
Thanks, Andrew.
You of course, Sherry York used to talk about this as the beginning of trophy season. You and I think you've talked with other folks too about how the Beanpot could always be sort of a catalyst towards that home stretch. I guess just how are you feeling about your team right now that you guys finally broke through and were able to win this tournament?
Well, I was super happy for Hudson Shandor and John Spetz, who had lost in that championship game 3 years in a row. But for the other guys, to answer your question, I think it went a long way for our younger guys learning what it takes to win a trophy and how hard it is. And we made some young mistakes in that championship game at times. And I think you can only grow from that. And when we're putting hopefully we're going to be in that position again in another month or so. And our guys can draw on that experience to help them, the next time they're faced with certain challenges in a game. So I think it can be a great springboard for your team. Now, that being said, I also understand how quickly it can change. I I remember a couple Beanpot teams where all of a sudden you start thinking you're really good and you can be humbled quickly. So I know in this game, and especially playing in this league, Andrew, and our players know it. Like coming up, if you look at our schedule coming up in the league, it's 2 with Providence, it's Lowell, it's UMass, it's Maine, it's BU. I mean, they're all like a lot of those teams are in the top 10. So, and then we're followed with Northeastern, who we haven't played yet, who's playing really well right now. Vermont has played well all year long. So we understand that, you have to continue to get better and improve, or this game's very humbling.
Joe, we'll jump back to you.
Thanks. Cav, how is Ethan doing? And is there a timetable on his possible return?
He's doing much better. He skated yesterday for the first time in a couple of weeks, but I don't know if he'll be ready for this weekend yet, though.
Cooper, go ahead.
Hey, Gav, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Cooper.
I'm just curious, what did you think of Hugh last week and his return?
I thought he was really good. And in fact, when we shortened the bench towards the end of the game, I moved him up onto one of the lines. We were playing 3 lines at the end of the game, and he was on one of those lines because I thought he gave us a really solid effort on Saturday night. And again, that's another kid with a lot of experience. Western Michigan played in a lot of national tournaments, so he has a lot of postseason experience.
Just a big picture question, because I've talked to you a few different times over the course of the season about your young guys and all these new guys that have come in there. Can you put into perspective, because you're at the rink every day, like what this group and what these young guys are like on a day-to-day basis?
So I don't even look at them as young guys anymore, but yeah, they've been a fun group to work with, and a lot of them, like Shahan and Gardula played together in juniors, Whitcomb, but most of them played Kai, Trey Scott, Whitcomb, Gardula, Shahan. They all played in the USHL, so they were all somewhat familiar with each other. But I think Mertz has fit in really well. I said Phillips really finding his way now. And so on any given night, we can have 8 freshmen in the lineup. And I think they've done really, really well.
Thanks.
Anything else for Coach, guys?
Yeah, I got one. If I
Okay,
could,
go ahead,
I
Bob.
can't find.
Yeah.
I don't have my raised hand either. Hey, Mike.
Bob.
What about these freshmen? Connolly, Sawyer, and Mustard for Providence. What type of players are these guys, Mike?
They're excellent. So Conley was a World Junior player. Really, really good player for them. I think, Elger's another one who I think is a really good young player for them. Will Elger. Mustard had a breakout season in the USHL last year. So they're very, very talented, but they also have, Poisson and Yoder. They've got a lot of experience there. So 2 experienced goaltenders. Yep. So, they're getting great production, I think, from their freshman class as well. But they also have a lot of guys who've played a lot of experience in this league.
Mike, last couple of games, I guess, last 3, it's been tough to get goals. But you always mention when you get to January, it's big boy time. Something that Gary York used to say.
Men's
Is that
league.
just natural this time of year?
What's that?
Is that natural this time of year? Just makes it harder to score goals. The games.
Oh, I think so.
Important?
I think, if you look at Denver, they won a national title last year, and they won their first NCAA game 2-1. They won the second one 2-1. They won the semis 2-1, and they won the finals 2-0. I mean, it's when you're playing in championship games. When we lost to UMass in the Garden, it was 2-1 in overtime. It's a lot tougher to score goals. Teams tighten up. Look at the NHL playoffs. How different that is from the regular season. So it's just playoff hockey is different. When you're playing for a trophy, it's much tougher to score goals. Now you're going to have outlier games, but I just know typically when you have two evenly matched teams that play the game the right way, and usually that's what it is when you're getting to a final game. It's tough that you have to fight for your ice.
Bridget, we'll end it with you.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll just hit you with two more then. So first of all, for you guys haven't lost since December. So since then, or since December 29th. So since then, you guys have gotten points in every game. So what are some things that you've been doing in this half, like since that loss, or even maybe before that as well, that's helped you get to the results where now you've been able to jump up to fourth in the pairwise?
I don't think I got asked this question yesterday. I don't think we're really doing anything different. If you look at before we went on break, we finished our first half with 2 with Lowell, who I think was 6th or 7th in the country at the time, and BC, who was 1. And we took 4 out of 6 points from BC, and we, played 2 at Lowell on the road, and we won the first night and lost the second night 1-0. Still played really, really well. So I thought we were playing well when we hit the break, and I just think that we've continued to play very consistent hockey, Bridget.
I guess maybe I should have worded it this way. What are some of those things that you've been doing in this stretch that you've really liked from your team?
Well, we're getting solid goaltending. I think when you're winning games consistently, you're managing the puck well. You're not turning it over. You're not giving up a lot of odd man rushes. I think that, we defend pretty well. I'd like to see us create more in the offensive zone. I think that's an area that we can get better at. I think we're pretty good off the rush, and we're a good forechecking team, but I'd like to see a few more multiple shot shifts. I don't think that we're getting enough of those right now, and that could be one of the reasons why we haven't scored a ton of goals lately. But defensively, I think we're playing pretty well.
Last one is just because we're obviously going to talk about the fact that you guys have jumped all the way up to fourth in the pairwise and trending in a great direction. And then looking back at the Hockey East preseason poll, they only had you projected for 8. Like when you see something like that in the preseason, are you just like, oh no way, that's not accurate. Like we're gonna be so much better than that.
No, I don't really get too caught up with that. That's happened a lot here since I've been at UConn. So that's not really a concern of ours. Because you don't know, and you don't know, going into it, I'm not offended. The way our season ended last year and some of the players that we lost, I get why some people would have picked us 8th. But every year is different, and you got to go out and play the games. And that's why the end of the year poll is way more important than the preseason poll.
Thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for jumping on. Coach, thank you. Good luck this weekend.
Okay, thank you.